Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We kind of had some technical difficulties. What we were talking about before it kind of cut out on us. We were talking about the um, Naruto live action, and we kind of all agreed that this was not the best idea. Overall, we'll end off with this, and I'm going to ask Deon this first. Deon, whenever this comes out, do you think it will do well and give me 1 out of 10, or do you think it's going to be an ultimate flop? If that makes any sense, based on how you've seen all the Naruto.
Well, while he's doing what he has to do real quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's, man, look, so depending on when it comes out and how good the CGI, I can see it doing okay. But right now I can honestly say I'm getting to be burnt out on it, just like I am on Marvel. So unless they come out with something that's truly good, I'm really not really looking forward to anything. They can announce stuff all day long. I don't care.
Okay. Okay. So, same question to you, Dion. Do you think, like Chris said, it could do okay, but ultimately he doesn't want to see anything else come out for a while, or do you think it's going to be kind of a flop, depending on what they try to do with it?
I think it's not gonna flop because what it is. It could still be a horrible anime, but just because people are curious about what's gonna happen, it's gonna show those ratings look good. Because a lot of people are going to be streaming it. A lot of people are going to be tuning in. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm going to be tuning in, and I definitely don't want to see it.
Yeah, that is
So,
fair. That is fair.
I don't want them to take that the wrong way, just like with all the Marvel stuff. People watch it just because it's Marvel. You got to keep up with it. But as an overall anime, I don't want to see any more of it.
Okay.
Like, it's Scooby Doo. It's gonna be Scooby Doo all over again. We all watched the first movie, and they was like, "Oh, this is cool. They love us. Let's make another one." And I'm like, nah, bro, we didn't want that.
No.
We did.
I'm, I mean, ultimately, with that, even going down that route, they made 3 movies. Then they remade the animated show and made another 2 versions of the anime show, and then they ultimately made a show with just Vilma. And the Vilma show was the one that kind of everybody was like, "Yeah, this ain't good. What? Why are you making this? What's the point of this?" So yeah, I get it. Ultimately, to me, I am not the kind of person to be like, we're getting in that new age. This is gonna be the new age anime. This is the new age where live action is gonna be king, and I think that's gonna be a thing for the next 3 to 4 years. And
It's not
like,
anime anymore.
well, I know that, I get that,
No,
but
I'm
here's
saying
the
like when you make it live action, you take away the thing that made it special in the first
correct,
place.
correct, correct. I think the thing you said, Dion, makes a good point. People are gonna be curious, as they say, curiosity killed the cat.
Yep.
I think a lot of people will be curious once this comes out for Naruto fans. And if they see it and it's like, this is okay, well, I'll continue. I'll finish it. Will I watch next season? Probably not. That's the same
It's
way, and
One Piece.
that's the same thing. One Piece vibes, Last Airbender vibes. A lot of people have that thing of like, if you're a hardcore fan of this series, yeah, you ain't gonna like this. But if you're a casual fan, you'd be like, I can get through it.
Yeah.
I can finish it. Not gonna be a problem. But hey, it's gonna be no matter what happens, it's gonna be one of those things where like I think it just transcends what people are thinking.
If you
Um,
don't know Naruto, you'll love this.
yeah,
Like One Piece.
Bro,
If you did know One Piece,
you'll
like
love it.
my biggest gripes with One Piece, a lot of people don't even bring up. Like a lot of people don't even notice. Like, uh, this may be a spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen it, but I hope you've seen it. And if you haven't, you don't need to. Um, it's the Garp stuff. It's the Arlong stuff. And it's like you're changing timelines and changing situations to make this story fit within this series, this season,
Which is exactly how they did Avatar.
Correct.
and it's horrible. I
Because
hate it.
they added scenes in Avatar that ended up didn't make sense. But you're like, oh, you have to do this to get a certain group of characters in the story, or you don't see them at all. So it's like,
It's like
oh
seeing
wow.
Toph in the first episode of the new Naruto.
like so they had to take some liberties, which is fine. I don't disagree with it, but I think ultimately if you really are going to stick to the source material, stick to the source material as much as you can. But like Chris said with the Avatar thing, he mentioned the fact that the liberties they took aren't terrible. They aren't terrible. They worked within what they were trying to do. Even he brought up with the actors, which was kind of interesting. I remember he talked about, oh, the actors' lips are chapped. I was like, huh? And I didn't notice it the first episode. I'm like, oh, they are. But the reason why, I was like, wait, they're in a cold place. They're acting like they're in a cold place, so your lips wouldn't be naturally.
But
But you said ultimately, if you're
you
going to be
don't see
watching
their
something,
breath either. If it
yeah,
was truly cold, you would have seen their breath too.
correct. So it's like they're not doing everything to give you the sense of they're in this world either. So we'll see what happens. I am fine. I'm either way of me. I don't really care much anymore. Do anime, do what y'all want to do. You're basically at the mercy of your fan base, right? Your fan bases right now.
I
If
put it this
fan,
way: I'm watching the shows because I like the shows.
correct,
Whether the shows are good or bad is how often I watch
correct, correct.
I just don't understand how you're gonna do it. Naruto doesn't get good until Shippuden. Everything up to that, you're just learning characters. So,
Yeah.
like,
So this is gonna be it's gonna be interesting what they do.
yeah. Oh my goodness.
But let's get into something from Naruto, who's a cult classic, to something that's become a cult classic for a lot of people. We're talking about Demon Slayer. We're talking about episode 1 of the Hashira training arc. We saw that on Sunday. So what I'm gonna do with this, we're gonna keep it broad. We'll start off broad, then I'll say once I say we get into I'll say we'll get into spoilers, and then we'll go from there. So um I'll start off with Chris for this. Chris, what was your overall take from episode 1? Like, what was the things you liked broadly? What was the things you appreciated from the episode 1 of the Hashira training arc?
So, coming from the movie theaters, we all know that they did they kind of did like a preview of the last few episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was nice. That I feel like they ended some scenes in that. I know, and I wish they would have taken out a few more scenes. Like
Mm.
I didn't need to see Nezuko's whole life story again, honestly.
Ha!
Well, it's
Like
so
so,
touching though.
I didn't need to see it again. That may be other people, but that's me. So, but other than that, now as I actually start the actual new episode, I do like how they kind of set it up as like a shonen after that. Like they're kind of bringing it back to the shonen roots, and so I do like where they're taking it a little bit. So it does have me very excited. So you want me to give a rating or?
We'll do it at the end of the spoiler section because I won't actually. No, we'll do it here. Actually, good thinking. Give me a rating now, and then once we talk about the spoiler stuff, we'll reinforce those ratings. So just give me the rating, no doubt, no explanation. We'll do the explanation at the end.
Honest rating, give it a 6.
Oh, oh. All right, we'll get that explanation at the end of this. But Deon, broad strokes, what do you think about the episode? And like Chris said, mentioning the other stuff we got from the previous stuff as well. What was your like big takeaway from the first episode of the Hot Arc?
I want to say it's giving me first season vibes
Oh,
where you start to kind of like where did I go? What just happened?
Deon, is that you?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
No, that's Brandon.
yeah, that's me. What?
Ah,
All right.
and I don't even see your camera this time. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, there it goes. Because Dion was still here.
Yeah. The
Can you hear
one
us, Dion?
time,
I still made it.
technically, his internet was stronger this time.
I don't know how mine is doing so bad, but nonetheless, it's not raining or anything on my side of town. I don't get it.
If it's really windy, it can do it too.
Yeah, wind can do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize once again. This is where the weird night for technology, but I think what Dion was getting at, and I can kind of get his point. It is like the first episode, and that first episode the first season feelings of Demon Slayer gave you that thing of like we're building the things, we're building up the things, we kind of have something to look forward to. And for me personally, I think this one has done a really good job of keeping everything intact, keeping everything fun and interesting. Um, for the most part, I think there's a few little nitpick things, but I ultimately don't think that's gonna be stuff I can worry about now. Um, but I will say ultimately I can see where Dion's going. I agree with him kind of. I see that he's that yeah, this is first season lives absolutely. Um,
Yeah, because they're kind of coming back into what it means to be a demon slayer. Not to mention, they're going up against now just a horde of them now. Like
mhm,
now we see now this ain't no normal fight coming up. This is the end all fight, like them versus everything and everybody. Yeah,
um,
he's back.
I don't know what happens.
yeah, I keep cutting out. Don't worry about it. Um, you were mentioning Dion that you said it was like the first season.
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
I'm feeling like it's giving us the ability to like characters again, the chance to get to know
Mm,
new characters, the the chance to actually reel in everything that's been going on.
mm-hmm,
Like we've had the last few seasons just like rush with action and like we lost somebody, so it's been like a bunch of bam in your face type things. Whereas I feel like we're starting to get back to that initial
mm,
uh like focus on Tanjiro and his training and stuff like that, where it was more isolated characters. Like, okay, we're gonna get to know who these people are and fill out the story before we just hit you over the head with a bunch of stuff.
okay, okay. So,
I
like
don't want
Chris
to say
did,
too much until we get to the spoiler part.
yeah, no. So, like Chris did, what would you rate this? Without, don't give me an explanation, but what would you rate that? What would you rate the episode one of the Hashira arc?
Uh, 8.5.
You said 9.5?
I'll give it an 8.5.
Oh, 8.5. Okay, okay. This is,
8.
and I see both y'all points. I see both where both y'all are headed. I feel like this is going to be one of those seasons where, like Dion's mentioning, we're going to get to know the characters more. We're building up to points where we get to get the characters' development. We a lot of development for one character in particular. We'll talk about in spoilers because it's actually really interesting. I love the fact they did this with one of the characters. Ultimately, mm, I have to give this like an 8. So a little under Dion, but 2 ahead of where Chris was. Um, but this is our timestamp for it. So let's get into the spoiler section of this. What I'll do for this, I'm not going to run this play by play because I can't remember everything that's happened in this episode. It was almost 45 minutes. But what I will do is this: I'll give you the high beats, give you the highlights for it. We start this episode off with the two people I didn't expect to start this off with: Sound Hashira, Snake Hashira. There are some other Demon Slayer people off the core. They're trying to figure out what happened to this young lady that's been taken by one of the demons. They're chasing to this building, this old abandoned building, and they see they feel all these demons' presences here, and the Sound Hawker pretty much tells the two guys that are with them, leave. We don't need you anymore. We can handle me and the snake guy can handle this, and they pretty much do. It's pretty much a straight up fight for that point where they're just killing all these demons around this place, doing everything. Find the guy that's finally taking the girl. Good demons like these guys are good. These guys are strong. I need to go, and so he tries to get away as fast as possible. The Windhosher is pretty much on him quickly. Can't do much with him. He's fine. Like, you want the girl? Fine, just chuck him. Chuck her. He chucks her off the roof of the building. Snake Hawker grabs her. He beats that demon, or he doesn't beat him. The demon jumps into a void, so he jumps to like a hole, but it's not really a hole. It's actually the Infinite Castle, which we've seen from last season. Oddly enough, episode 1 of last season, we saw the Infinite Castle. So we have a reference to that. And the Sound Hashira, the Wind Hashira, and the Snake Hashira both are like, what is this place? What the? And he tries to take his sword and drop through it, and he just hits the ground. It goes away. The next thing we really see officially is a bunch of and I'll kind of lump all these together, is a lot of Tanjiro talking to one of the attendants. The attendant asking Tanjiro what happened, all the stuff, asking about his sister, asking about this, that, and the other. Asking, and just kind of getting information. That part is only there to kind of give you the context of Tanjiro took him 7 days to get back to where he was after what happened in the last season. Everybody else took about a couple days, 3 or 4. The other big thing why all the Tanjiro stuff's going on is you have all the Hashira sitting together at the place they do the emergency meetings at. And in this case, the head of the Hashira Demon Slayer Corps cannot be there because he's gotten sickly ill. He's gotten more sick than over the time period that we've seen him. So his lovely wife takes over, and the wife pretty much asks the Love Hashira and Mist Hashira what happened when you all fought these upper demons, and do you know how you got your demon mark to the Mist to both of them? It's funny. They say she calls it the demon mark at the first time, but she doesn't. After that, she just calls it the mark. And they give you a little backstory that the mark was granted by these Hashira at the first ever, Hashiras had got their mark and they kept it together. They all got it at once and did everything to try to be Muzan. So it has been passed down. Only person that's had the mark permanently show up on him is Tanjiro in his forehead. He's the only person that's actually had it show up more than, and it's just permanently sitting there. They talk about the fact that, basically, how do you get to your Hashira mark? Well, you get there by getting 102 degrees. You also get there by being at a state where you're almost at your limits, and we need to get all y'all to get there at some point. Well, how are we going to do that? We don't know. I'm going to stop right there because that's the beginning part, and then we'll get to the back half. So I'm going to start off with Chris for this. Chris, what was your big takeaway from that first little section?
So as you were talking, something clicked in my head. Like, wait a minute. Tanjiro has a mark, and the way they explained it is that whoever's around him also manifests some kind of mark.
Correct.
What if Nezuko's ability is also based on his mark?
Mm, that'd be different. That'd be different. I can see it, but she could always do the blood
I
thing, couldn't
wouldn't put
she?
it past it.
No, I want to put it past. I can put it past, but she
Yeah,
always
the blood thing.
is normal. She can do that on her own.
Yeah, that's her demon blood art.
But she don't have. Okay, okay, yeah, that'd be
So
interesting.
with that question in mind, and that the show instantly gets a boost in score. I won't say by how much,
Okay,
but other
okay,
but because it is that thought process that this show can give.
correct.
The fact that this is just one episode and the amount of story and background that they've given in this show.
Hmm. Um, Deon, what do you think about this little first section? We see the Snake Hashira, Wind Hashira go through the cave stuff, and then we kind of get the mix of like Tundra talking and the Hashiras kind of talking as well.
Well, I I like that it came out swinging,
Yeah.
quite literally, with the one Hashira and Snake Hashira. I love the way Demon Slayer introduces new characters. Um, it's not just like, hey, this is such and such. It's like, bam, I'm gonna show you what such and such can already do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like a lot of shows where you get these powerful looking characters, you never get to see what they do. You're left in suspense. So I love that they go right out the gate and they show you off something before they get into the drawing, daunting dialogue type stuff. So it's like, let me feed your action.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. Kind of like feeding you the fights first and then getting to dialogue. Ultimately, that's the way I think Demon Slayer works best because I think you can do the dialogue stuff later and kind of get people invested. Um, but we'll see how that over the season it'll go. Continuing the kind of like talk about this, basically after this point, we kind of figure out we have the emergency meeting. The wife leaves and they're left, and then the water hashira pretty much gets up and goes, "I'm not sticking around. I don't have no reason to stick around." And they're like, where the world are you going? Like, we need to figure out a plan." And Stonehasher is leading the meeting, but ultimately they're trying to figure out how to get their demon marks, but also train up the other demon slayers to do what they need to do from the core. And finally, Stonehasher's like, "I had enough." Kind of just says something out loud, and it literally just shakes the room they're in. It's like, okay, he is stronger than he seems. That's kind of awesome. But it was like, man, you don't want to mess with him. Yeah. Um, then the next thing we really see is we get the kind of confirmation that Inosuke comes back from his mission, Zenitsu comes back from his. Zenitsu comes back first, or Zoni comes back first, and then use Zenitsu. But Zenitsu kind of goes a little overboard with his thing where he sees Nezuko and he's like, Nezuko says hi because they learn about the fact that she can talk now, she can say words, and she says hi, but he thinks she's gonna say he didn't do. Nope. What happens? She says Inosuke, and he's like, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. He gonna be mine. He basically I'm gonna destroy that dude. And
That
it's
was one
funny.
of my favorite scenes.
That was funny. It was funny when they did that. Then Tanjiro says, Inosuke's been drilling his name into her, and she's kind of gotten used to it now, so she's been saying a lot more, which is kind of cute. I was like, okay. Then Zenitsu comes back. He kind of talks to Tanjiro. Tanjiro thanks him for teaching him how to use his legs more and using lightning flash and a couple other things. But then ultimately, Zenitsu's like, I don't want to do all this training. I'm not here for this. And he kind of gets mad at Tanjiro, but then Tanjiro kind of after Tanjiro thanks him, he's like, happy now. I'm kind of happy go lucky, which was also kind of creepy. Um, then the last thing I'll talk about from this little section, because we'll get the ending of this section where a lot of this stuff happens. All the Hashira agree that we're going to work together to do this. They need to try to get the water Hashira back, but they'll figure that out later. But the other thing they mentioned, we need to go get. Can we use? We're going to use retired Hashiras. Can we use retired Hashiras as well? And they said yes. So we get a tease or something later, and we'll see it in the next part of this. So, Chris, what do you think about this little section here, and what kind of caught your eye?
I mean, bro. So when they said retired hashira, the ninja guy was not the guy that I was thinking about at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about the water guy who trained Tanjiro
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like he has a more intense training because he trained the hashira that's low key being real sneaky right
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
now.
It
So yeah.
it's funny because the way they tease that, you're thinking Kelp. I thought of Kelp different people, but it was actually like that was my second, like the first person I thought of was like, oh, Tandra's master, he could probably do it, but they didn't. They teased it.
Yeah, but was he actually a hashira?
Yes.
Yes, he was. He was, but then I think he retired from doing it, or they say like he.
Yeah, they and if you go back in the first season and Tanjiro they're sitting in the cabin, they're asking Tanjiro asking him about was he a hashira? He said, yeah, he trained this and he retired because he got too old.
Correct. Correct. Um, Deon, what do you think about this little section here of the show? I'm not covering everything, by the way. I'm covering the stuff that's kind of important. There's a lot of other little small talking points, like all the Tundra stuff is kind of I lumped together because it's like there's only one or two things that really make sense from that little whole talk, but ultimately everything else is kind of in between those two things.
I'll just give my biggest takeaway then. Is the interaction between Giyu and the rest of the Hashira, the tension, and like basically, and I get it on one hand because of I mean he was the only water Hashira, or the only Hashira that the water Hashira actually trained. The besides Tanjiro, he's he's a loner basically. So I get it, but it's like I wonder where they're going with this, because he's always been off put by the rest of them. So I wonder where they're gonna go with that. The only other thing is, like you said, the Tengen being the only ex Hashira, I guess you would say, which I wouldn't even consider him a ex Hashira. Like to me, he's still part of the club.
Because I mean, bro, you just retired.
But okay,
Yeah.
so we'll get
I
into
think
this
he
back.
only
We'll get this back half because they do. Then we do see former Sound Hashira help them out, and these boys are running down this field and like they're getting gassed quickly, and pretty much where Sound Hashira's like, y'all can't keep up. I can do this all day, and he's just pushing them, and he explained what each Hashira is going to do to train these guys up. So he's doing the agility. I think Love Hashira is doing strength. Sound Hashira and Miss Hashira are doing like combat training. It was a whole bunch of things, and they're all different. They're all cool. And I think the Stone Hashira is like not endurance, but like resisting and kind of being able to go even though you're going to be dead tired. So building up your stamina, which was actually really interesting. But then it was funny. The former Sound Hashira pretty much says, these boys aren't ready for this. We see the Ninja Girls, by the way. I actually appreciate the fact they showed his wives, and I was like, man, they made the wives look too good. Well, I don't know why you did, but okay, fair enough. But the thing they brought up while they were talking, they were like, aren't you pushing these boys way too hard? Too hard? And then he was like, no, because ultimately my training is easy. Their trainings are going to get into next. It's a lot harder. So basically saying each Hashira is going to build up where the last Hashira left off. And going to make it harder and harder to keep up with what they're trying to teach them. But then I think the interesting thing after this, we kind of see that Zendu comes back to see Tanjiro after the second time. This is the second time he goes see Tanjiro. He says, I don't want to go train. Why do we have to do all this training? I'd rather not. And he says, get us stronger, get us faster, get us better. That's where we get the conversation. That's where we get the other. he thanks him once, but he thanks him again in that second scene, saying, "I thank you for everything you've done, helped me, and everything." And then Zenitsu leaves, but he's not really happy about going to do training. At the same point, Tanjiro's not even at full strength yet. He's not gonna be at full strength for like maybe another 2 episodes at this point. Another episode, maybe 1, 2 episodes at this point, but he's getting there. So then the big reveal at the end of this was really something I did not expect. So we get all that teasing for that kind of stuff. We get everything. We get the wife of the head of the demon corps kind of helping him, making sure he feels all right. Then we get this bird, and this was the weird ending to the show. This crow comes to the house of the demon doctor, and she's kind of confused, and the bird starts talking, and the bird's like, "I'm with the Demon Slayer Corps. I'm one of my master's birds. We need to talk. And by the way, you left your window open. That's kind of bad. You don't want to get hurt, do you?" And I was like, she leaves it open because you want the fresh air. But I digress. That's kind of funny. You told a bird saying that of all things. But also, I'm not here to harm you. I don't have no reason to harm you. I just want to talk. And she kind of takes it aback. She kind of just sits there for a second and goes, "Okay, fine. Let's talk." And she talks and she goes, he talks and goes, "Well, we need your help because you knew about Nezuko and you kind of helped us figure out that she can walk in the sun. Can you try to help us figure out about our master and see if you can work with the hashira, the butterfly hashira, that has the poison, and kind of work together to make a thing to help our master?" And he kind of tells her all this, and she's kind of like, "Really? Why? Why would I?" "Because we know you're good at what you do." And it was funny. The last thing he says is, You're summoned to the mansion for the Demon Slayer Corps." And she kind of looks back like, I'm a," and she kind of looks like, "I don't really want to go because I'm a demon, and yet you're telling me to go to Demon Slayer Corps." That's where the episode pretty much ends, where you see her like kind of look like they're summoning to a Demon Slayer Corps, and I haven't, because I'm good at what I do, but I don't want to go there because I know I could probably get killed. Deon, I'll start with you. What do you think about this back half? Because this back half was kind of a revelation, and I'm hoping if they do this right, they can make this really interesting.
Yeah, like I said, this back half is what makes me feel like we're gonna get back into first season era of character development, introductory of who these people really are, and stuff like that. Especially based off the training part. It's giving me Tanjiro first arc when he's going up the hill training, but now you get it with all the hashira, which, I mean, let's face it, that's pretty cool to see him actually training with the hashira. Now, if I was the lady doctor, if I was Ubuyushiki or whatever her name is, yeah, that's a setup, bro. In my head, like me watching it, I know what's going on. Because I mean, my man's is on his deathbed. Like it's clear as day. He needs all the help he can get to figure this stuff out. But yeah, that's a setup, bro. That's a setup. But I know something that a lot of people don't know, and I know we are in the spoiler section. Should I say it?
Go ahead.
Yep.
The leader of the
Yes, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps and
leader of the
Muzan are brothers technically.
Yeah.
They're technically family. Two different sides of family, but family. It's weird because they're not going to explain. They're not going to explain the connection here. I do think it's going to be coming down. It'll come down at the end of the season. They'll explain it because you see we get the ending screen, by the way, for this show. The opening screen, not the ending screen. We get the opening cinematic for the show, and they show the two brothers facing off in the open cinematic. like facing each other. So we might get that down the road. I don't know when though. But yeah, that is a thing. Sorry to cut you off,
Yeah, and
Deon.
he's been offered multiple times to just become a demon.
Correct. Yes.
So the curse wound or whatever it is that's infecting him, the sickness, it's curable.
It is curable.
And we now know that Nezuko has special abilities.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he's using her not just to figure out what's going on with Nezuko, like he says in his crow message, but to come up with his own cure.
Mm. Mm.
But I
Can't blame
digress.
a
Let's see.
last ditch effort. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he like what else do you have to lose if you can take her demon blood? Because essentially, it's still your blood. Like you share a bloodline with this with Muzan.
Yeah.
So
Right.
are you just gonna take this demon blood and not necessarily become a Muzan form of demon, but a Nezuko form of demon?
Okay. 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 Chris, what do you think about this back half? And kind of what Dion also added to it. Do you think we're heading down an interesting path for the hashira arc?
I mean, really, I haven't. I have tried my best not to think too much into it because I want to be wholly surprised.
Yeah,
I
which is
mean,
fair.
I
That's
am
my
enjoying the
ADHD.
roller coaster. That- I mean, that is, I am on the roller coaster ride, enjoying every bit of it. Now, because normally I'm the one who always overthinks and overanalyzes, so this was nice just to relax and watch.
Okay. Okay. I will give you gentlemen this. I think this back half just kind of made me smile because if you're gonna have her and her assistant in the mansion, now you got somebody who's also touched Nezuko blood herself, who's tested it, who knows what it does, who's seen it firsthand. But also you have somebody who can also, if he needs it, if you're saying the master could use it in his body, she can administer it technically. And that's gonna be the big thing. I wonder how if they're gonna tease that he tries to use her blood and then tries to ends up killing Nezuko in the process, or doesn't kill Nezuko in the process, but it's gonna be a thing where if I use Nezuko, will that kill her? Will that end up hurting her eventually?
Hurting her after, yeah.
And then that makes Tandra more like, why are you trying to do this? Why, all this kind of stuff. It this is getting back to what I think I love the most. We had a bunch of fights last couple seasons. This is basically, you know what? We're going back to tell you a story. This is going to be 12 episodes of just storytelling, and I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. I think it's going to be the most fun storytelling you'll have all year, all for next season. Like
Yeah.
it, the music, the way the English characters are talking to each other, like it kind of pales in comparison to some shows because they know how to make their characters make them feel like they're in the situations they're in.
Mm.
That crow, like the crow had a deep voice, and that crow was not mincing words. That crow was like, this
I like
situation
the
is,
crow.
oh, the crow's amazing. That crow basically made that last section like, okay, this is life or death, my friend.
Like, can we get this crow for Tanjiro and
His crow's kind of
give Tanjiro's crow back? Like,
his crow hates
no,
him basically.
like I hate that. It's
Yeah,
so
his crow.
annoying.
But the crows are based on their personalities too. You know, it's that from last season. They show you that. So, um,
Man,
I,
I
I,
I can't wait to see what happens next.
oh, absolutely not, absolutely same here. I think ultimately, was it worth to go see in theaters? Absolutely. I think ultimately seeing it in theaters, seeing it where everything is done with the animation and just the way it was presented, and the fact I think they did a good job with that. The only thing I will say that I think it's still kind of was not really justified. I don't think the R rating. I don't think the R rating was justified. The R rating wasn't
Yeah, not at
justified.
all.
It wasn't
Hmm.
justified, but like Chris brought up after we left the theater, and I think you brought up Deon. Basically, that R rating is forcing you to say, "Hey, this is not for children." So basically, they're forcing your hand and saying, "This is not for children," even though it's rated 14 in Japan. We are just going to push the R, even though it's probably not deserving the R.
Yeah.
Because there's
Because
only one.
honestly, they only have to drop a few f bombs in order to be rated R.
Correct. And there's only one scene of full on like blood you see where it's when the wind hashira kills all those demons and you see a rain of blood from the sky. But that's only because he just killed a bunch of demons. Like that's if that wasn't the case, it wouldn't have been that bad. And then yeah, no language, no
Yeah, I
really
think we
anything
did it
terrible.
just so kids won't get to go see it by themselves without mommy.
Correct. Correct. Um, but oh yeah, I think we're all looking forward to seeing episode 2 when it comes out in April. We're looking forward to see it the spring season. I can't if they keep doing this, but if they do it for the last 2 seasons of Demon Slayer, fine by me. You're making money. Y'all made a bunch of money. Go right ahead. Like at least y'all at least have said we're gonna keep doing this. It's actually been working. I can't be mad. You've done well. But let's get into the charts and then we'll get into Magic and Muscles. So these anime charts for this week have been a little weird. It was not something I expected. So at 1, The Dangerous in My Heart season 2. At 2, Class from the Elite moved up 3 spots. Rhonda Chrisman moved down 1 spot to 3. Fears Beyond Junior N moved up 5 spots. The Apothecary Diaries moved up 1 spot. The Marrying My Worst Enemy moved down 2 spots. Magical Muscles came back in at 7. Solo Leveling drops 5 spots. A Sign of an Affection is at 9, and Villain Level 99 is at 10. So, Chris, what did you think about these anime charts? Was there anything surprising from this week?
So I'm thinking this is what happens when Solo Leveling intentionally says we're going to do a filler episode. This is what the chart looks like, and I feel like some of the studios tried to take advantage of that time. That's what
Mm,
this chart looks like to me. I mean, now I can't say that for sure, but but I am so like I am still tired of seeing certain ones that probably need to be revamped and maybe not need to be at the top. But yeah, I digress. I haven't watched them, so I can't say. So
Dion, what's your biggest takeaway from this chart?
My biggest takeaway:
Like, what was the
Classroom
biggest
of
thing that
the
surprised you from?
Classroom of the Elite actually being
Yeah,
in the top 3. This
nah,
is the first.
that's no surprise at all.
I mean, but they've had some really good episodes and been like 7, 8, 9, 10. Like they haven't pushed that boundary and been in the top 3, especially with uh Beyond Journey's End coming up so high in
mm-hmm.
this particular chart. Um, I would have thought it would be switched. Beyond Journey's End being 2 and Classroom of the Elite would have been 3 or 4. But I'm glad it's getting some recognition. Some more recognition that the first few episodes should have got in the first place. But
Yeah, yeah.
like you said, this could be what happens on Solo Leveling. I mean, like, do we even count that on this chart right now?
Well, that's the
Hmm.
episode from last week. That's the episode from last week, not this week's episode.
Yeah, but that episode wasn't. I mean, it was good, but we knew what was gonna happen in that episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The wrap up episode.
it it's weird because I think I get why classrooms have leads at 2, but I'm like Chris. I disagree with Chris in this sense. I think it doesn't really deserve it in the sense because, like Deon said, all the other episodes have been at like 7 or 8, 7, 8, 5, 6, 10. I wonder what that episode was to make it go up that high. That tells me then
Yeah.
something really happened in that episode to make it go that high. I'm kind of surprised Soul 11 dropped 5 spots. I think it was only dropped like 2. But you're right. It was a recap episode. It kind of not a recap episode. It capped off the giant fight we got the week prior. But also it continued the story.
Yeah.
But the fight we got from that episode entirely doesn't really have any bearing on the plot. It only kind of
Yeah.
continues that plot a little bit. Matching Muscles being at 7, kind of not surprising. The only thing I'm gonna say, and
It
I'm gonna
should have
keep
been a
saying,
10.
yeah, I probably should have been 10.
Yep.
I will say this right now. I'm gonna say this ultimately now. We're at week 7. We only have 5 weeks left of this chart. Dangerous My Heart is gonna finish out the season at number 1. There is nothing on. If Classroom Elite couldn't even do it, and look at the gap. That's a 3% gap. There's something that can do this. It can beat that out.
And it went up. I don't know if you guys noticed.
It went up by like a couple percentage points. Yeah, it did. So it's getting its traction. But I'll put it to you this way: I'll go through 11 through 20, and we'll get to that. Shangri-La's 11, Chain Soldier at 12, Moonlight is at 13, The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic at 14, Gushing Over Magic Girls 15, Delicious Dungeon 16, Hungai Girls Super Adorables at 17, Undead Unlucky at 18, the Ninja Kuro shows at 19, and then Dr. Ellis, the Royal Lady with the Lamp is at 20. By the way, that Ninja show is actually doing pretty well for a show that's just been out for a couple weeks. It's kind of insane.
They need to stop disrespecting anime.
I'll give you some other notable ones. My Instant Death Ability is at 24. The Witch and the Beast is at 26. Banished from the Hero Party is at 28. Blue Exodus is 31. Metallic Rogue is only 1 spot ahead of Buchigiri at 33. Buchigiri is 34. So, can't. I'm so. I feel like this is gonna get bad because I'm happy that Shangri-La's 11. I'm happy that Chain Soldier's 12. I understand. My Ability is 14. That's good. That new Ninja show shouldn't even be in the top 20. To be honest with you, I think it's just because of the action. Ultimately, on the other flip side of that coin, well, the high road should be higher. Buchigiri is just sticking around because I think you said it's ramped up, Chris, but based on this,
No.
nobody cares. So
I lost it. Nope.
Yeah, nobody cares. Bitch and the Beast should be the Witch and the Beast should be higher.
Oh my god, yes, it should.
Like this chart just feels kind of awkward now because Sign of Affection's good. I know that's decent. It's 7 times
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
They gave Solo Leveling so much crap. They said, "Oh, it's just all about action. Da, 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 da. It's nothing but action. And who cares for this anime?" And then you get Ninja Curve or whatever out of nowhere. There's nothing but act. There's no story to it at all. I mean, there is, but who knows it? And it's supposed to be doing this well instantly.
But what if I said for the past 3 weeks, gentlemen, and I'll say it again. Soul is only going to do as good as people can follow the story. The action will keep it up there, but the story is the thing people cannot comprehend. You know that best, Deon, because me and you are going through the book. We've gone through the first book of the story.
Yeah,
it is insane to me because when you got the context with the story, and Chris hasn't read any of the books, hasn't read the manga, hasn't gone through the light novel, hasn't gone through the webcomic. So I'm gonna say that now. He's only been watching the anime. But even Chris could probably understand the fact, hold on, this is actually a pretty decent story. I don't know I kind of can see where it's going. I need to have more context, but it's a good story.
This is pretty much exactly what I said, word for word.
Like with this ninja show, it's basically John Wick. And I said this the other night when we were watching after Demon Slayer show. It is John Wick with a revenge plot. And I'm like,
John Wick had a better story.
well,
At least you
correct.
felt sympathy for the dog.
like, like
like, like, oh my goodness.
if anime is gonna start being the thing where action is king, it's gonna start slowly dying. It's gonna slowly start dying
But they start to
because
show something different.
it does. Because
It's just
uh,
so all over the place now. I hate it.
one and two, 3 and 4, 6, 9, 10 are all dramas. Soul
Five.
leveling and yeah, 5. I did say 5 too. The only true shonens is 8 and technically 11 in the top 15. And top 15 chain holder and the wrong way to use healing magic. That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, the wrong way to use healing magic, it's not even action packed. Like it's more
No,
dialogue and stuff too.
correct.
So it's like short shield hero.
Yes, it is. It's a shield hero kind of like clone, like shield hero style version.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to put my hands out when we're talking about the ninja movie, but it's just like to me, and I said this with Jagiri, I'm gonna say it with the ninja thing. If it gets in the top 10, I'll eat humble pie. I will. But at the same time, I don't think it deserves it. If it gets in the top 15, I don't think it deserves it. Because it doesn't
It shouldn't be
do
where it's at now.
20 is hot. 20 is kind of too hot for it, but it also got a lot of marketing behind it. It got a lot of marketing, same like Soul Level. I know people are gonna push back when I say because people are gonna say, then Soul Level getting a lot of marketing, and now it's at the point of it. I get all that. But at least with Soul Leveling, the story was there. There's a story behind Soul Leveling. At least there's a story behind Witch and the Beast. There's a story behind Metallic Road. There's a story behind. I can go down a list, but I won't do that. Here's the thing, and I'm gonna say this with all due respect to this chart. I love Anime Corner. I love what they do. I love Otaku News. They do a good job at everything. The next 4 to 5 years of anime is gonna look totally different than what we've seen right now. Because the next 4 or 5 years of anime, you will not see any high-end stories being told any.
Unless that's all that's there.
Correct.
Get all story or no story.
And Chris, I'll say this: ever since you showed me Assassin's Classroom and Kami got killed, I kind of wish now we had gone back to the era from like 2010, 2015.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the best periods in anime where you have story, action, and a good amount of drama.
Now, I
Kami got
recall some episodes ago where you was asking, do we think this is the golden age of anime?
I'm wrong. I admit when I'm wrong. But here's the funny part. The only reason I bring it up is because look at the stuff that's coming out now. From 2015 till now, look at the stuff that came out in that period of time. And a good amount of it's
Yeah.
pretty good. I
I
can't.
still think we're not gonna see a better time than what we had before. Because a lot of the anime that's coming out now are remakes, redos, remodels of the classics.
Yeah, they
Like
are.
you get anime like Rurouni Kenshin, uh I said Rurouni, that's Zoro. Rurouni Kenshin, uh Inuyasha,
Mm.
like stuff like that where it's great story, good action. We don't see stuff like that anymore. But I digress. I'm sorry. I think I interrupted you.
No, you're good. You're good. I just think now, what do people want from anime? If we're gonna start getting the wacky Wild West with the McDonald's thing we're about to get, all the live action stuff we're about to get, what is anime gonna become? Because the thing they want to do is get this new generation, get people who don't watch anime into anime. And like Chris has said 100 times, and he will keep saying it for the rest of till the day he passes away. You don't need to get the new generation in the anime. The new generation doesn't need to be thrown into anime in the deep end. Not everybody's gonna enjoy anime like we do. And I think it's gonna be a scary day when you have something try to do something to get people into it. But ultimately, with this chart, I think you're gonna see a shift in philosophy now. If dramas keep hitting the way they are hitting, dramas are gonna take over the next couple charts for a bit. Because I think drama is gonna be the new in. But hey, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let me know if I'm totally off base here, because I've only been watching anime for about 6 years, maybe 7. Both these gentlemen have watched a lot longer than me. My first technically anime, is a show I still have on my dresser right next to me, or cabinet next to me. I watched High School of the Dead, which is probably one of the weirdest ones to start off with. High School DxD. I've gone to Kill la Kill. I've done things across the space, and yet all those animes have one thing in common I enjoy: story, and the action is actually really good. But yeah, if you also look at that chart, look at the top 5 outside of Classroom Elite, or out of the top 10. Out of Classroom Elite and Magic and Muscles, the rest have female leads. One thing about Kami Got Killed I love is the fact that your top characters are all females, and they do a very good job making those females make it look interesting. Yeah, like, yes, I get it. What do you think I like Demon Slayer so much? The most interesting characters are all females in that show, except for there's a few exceptions. Sound Hashira, Stone Hashira is probably one of the exceptions now. Even Wind Hashira is fun, but they can play off the other people. All the Hashira are great. That's the thing. Like, they make the Hashira great because they know how they can make the Hashira great. But we don't get that anymore with other shows because other shows don't do it well. I hope you have episode 19 of Magic and Muscles up, because this episode I haven't watched yet. I'm going in blind again. By the way, I'm going in blind again. I do know this picks up to where we left off last week. I'll probably let Chris do the review again because I want to see how he's going to talk about this. But in a second, I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Gentlemen, you ready?
1 second.
Yep.
My thing went to sleep.
Oh, no worries. Take your time.
I have a freaking theme song stuck in my head. I can't hear it. All right, we're good.
Okay. So in 3, 2, 1, let's go. What is this? The Dragon Army? Who are you? By the way, Deon, that meme you sent us of the girl That was funny.
Oh,
That was funny. That was funny.
They're doing the intro dance. Yeah,
Uh-huh. I think she's the
she
first one
does
I've
a
seen
lot
actually
of like.
do the intro dance. I don't mean anybody else I haven't seen do the intro dance. I've seen people try to play the song. That's the only thing I've
Yeah,
seen really.
she's pretty cool. She does like all the anime and game, video game. Like when they do
Mm.
dances, she'll remix them or do them. I'm going to the club just to do that dance.
Oh, wait, I don't know if anybody in the club would actually dance to this though. That's a problem.
No, I think some people would.
Yeah, this will get in.
Why are y'all replaying this part? I've seen this.
Yeah, it's not even a recap. It's literally
They're replaying from the part we've seen already, except for I think the tartar sauce thing's right in the middle of this part.
Doesn't seem like I need to do a recap.
a magic pile driver.
Wait. You're saying he made a cushion to where he wouldn't get hurt? That's
It's possible.
okay. That's possible. That is possible, but at the same time, kind of hard to believe.
Well,
I
no,
mean,
I mean like ignore me.
oh, sorry.
Nah, you good.
You shoot him. He can. He was guarding a cream puff. What the?
I knew it. I think I caught it last episode. It was gonna be a cream puff issue.
Yep, you called it.
Oh,
sound
Blew up both of your drums.
like?
What the? Huh? Oh, one of those. Whoa. Mash is not done, Chris.
Like he went underground
Nope.
or in the
Why do you
air?
act like a diglet? He act like a diglet there.
What the?
Underground. There we
This man said like a diglett.
go.
Oh, kick to the
Ooh.
face.
Like that. Now see that would normally decapitate somebody.
He punted his face.
With his body in the ground.
Yep.
Like, I don't care how much magic you have, you're not taking this
You're not
facial
taking a kick to
beating
the
like
kick. You're not taking a kick to the face and a four punches. Yeah, no.
come on, bro. What
Whoa.
in the wily coyote is going
What
on here?
the world are you?
He's undergoing a Sailor Moon type of transformation.
Yeah.
He's Sail final form.
The what? Is he still a dude?
He looks so much younger.
Margaret.
Pinky Eggs. So Macaroon is really a girl named Margaret?
Yeah.
Hmm. Still have no idea who this kid is.
What the actual? Oh, they're using the teleporting trick from JJK where he snaps every time he snaps, he teleports. That trick. All right, that's fair.
Oh, yeah.
It's also the same trick that they use in Black Clover too.
He's traveling with the speed of sound.
Mm-hmm. Whoa. How the good match move? Okay, they're giving us the science, what actually is make that's actually true.
Mm.
Tartar sauce. And now we can't snap. There we go.
Really food. His tartar sauce.
Wait, do you say death gong?
Cue the epic music.
So this
What
is
was some
his
other?
second.
Yeah.
Like we seen the short guy's second when him and Beckel
Whoa.
fought.
What the? Nope.
He don't want you.
Whoa. Okay.
Power of his pinky.
Uh, yeah, but we kind of know he was gonna win that battle, most likely.
Here's the real reason we're watching this episode.
Why are you ripping a time?
Episode
Why are
0.
you ripping the time space continuum? Oh, oh, innocent zero.
In his game.
What the world did he just do? Freeze time? Oh, he did.
It froze everybody too.
Mm. Say what?
Incorporating you into me, huh? Hey, Dumbledore, come through.
What the? Mm.
So I'm going to split this up in just 3 parts.
Before you do that, Chris, ladies and gentlemen, what we just watched, that was insane. I don't really know where they're headed now. You kind of confused me. But Chris, go ahead. Go ahead and split this up in 3 parts and we'll get going with this review.
I'm going to make it insanely simple, as such as this episode was indeed that simple. I'm going to split this up in part A is the fight between is the first part of the fight between Macaroni before he transforms. The second part would be after, and then the third would be to tie in the little bit of story that they put at the end. So finally, you'll get the scores at the end. Everybody agrees to this?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
So following the fight in the beginning, does anybody have any comments on this fight?
I like the fight, Deon. The only problem is I didn't need the whole recap at the beginning from the previous
Yeah.
stuff we saw. That whole recap doesn't make much sense now. Why are you showing us him getting pile drive or tombstoned into the ground? To only give us the fact that, oh, he cushioned his fall. That doesn't make much sense.
Yeah,
Outside
you
of
could have
that,
started the episode with him falling from the sky. Bam. There you go.
yes. And then I then they cut back and forth between everybody kind of talking. It's just like, okay, I kind of get where you're continuing a fight. Cool.
And that
But
was
also,
it. That was the whole freaking part of the fight. I was like, this is it.
yeah,
That's it. Okay.
yeah.
But what else?
Like
I honestly don't expect anything else from that.
No,
exactly.
no, which is kind of sad now. I'm not enthused anymore. I'm just kind of like, yeah, well, fair enough. Y'all have done your things. Like I think it's much ado about nothing.
Now,
Chris,
like honestly, the only plausible thing that could have even remotely been possible, but they didn't even have the right equipment there. The little bubble that you're talking about, I was like, if you had a sousaphone and you had the lung capacity that MASH has, okay, maybe. But yeah, the fact that you just make a sound out of nowhere, I mean, like you defy the laws of physics.
well,
Now,
yes,
see,
and,
I
and
cannot, my brain cannot turn off the laws of physics.
well, nobody brain can trust the laws of physics.
I
The
can,
law,
like, I can ignore a lot of things and stuff that may not add up and turn my brain off to a few things. But when it comes to ignoring the laws of physics, where my brain just says does not compute.
Yeah.
and here's the other thing that makes it kind of bad. If you're telling us he survived, and he said he made a bubble to survive, so you telling me if he did not make that bubble, his brain would just be mush? Like,
His brain is already mush. He eats tartar sauce.
yeah.
On his fish. I mean, he eats fish on his Twitter songs.
Please
Yes.
don't. Please don't remind me of that. Chris, do the second part of this.
So in the second fight, when we see Macaron do his magical girl thing and somehow reverses his age. Now I personally like the kind of deal how they sped up the fight, but and how they gave it a new point of view. But it's just as quickly as it was pointed out. Go ahead, Deon.
What part? It's a lot.
Wait, let's start with the part where you pointed this out. How it was just how this scene where he's flashing around, you pointed it out.
Moving
It was just
at
like
the speed of sound.
yes, you immediately pointed out it comes out from another anime.
Like, here's the other
Oh,
thing.
the snap.
The snap.
Yes.
I pointed the snap out.
That was
Basically,
bad. Yeah.
I pointed the
Okay.
snap out, which basically just was JJK when the guy can clap his hands and trade places with people, but they're using the snap in that way to where he can just move from place to place and teleport. Which ultimately, if he can move at the speed of sound, why in the world aren't you just moving every single time Max tries to hit you? Which he was, but it feels like you're basically giving Max a reason to try to figure out what he needs to do. And he does when he puts his hand against the wall and goes, "Oh wait, I can hear the beats in the wall." It's slower if it goes through a medium, a wall, or something like that.
See,
So
this is my problem with this entire anime
okay,
right
go ahead.
here.
Go ahead. I think I know what you're
You
gonna say.
mean to tell me that this guy whose brain is literally a cream puff knows the physics behind the way the sound travels between solids, liquids, and gases? He knows science that well, but oh my
uh,
like
yeah.
in an instant, he just figures out science, but my man's can't figure out anything else in the world. Like
He can't figure out how he can't figure out contact clues. He can't figure out girls. He can't act and go down a list. I get where you're going, but yeah,
even schoolwork, like you couldn't
yeah.
figure out how to make a recipe, how to follow a recipe, but you can figure, the laws of science when it comes to sound that you never dealt with.
This is the key, and I'll say it again. And I hate to say it because I know Dan's gonna hate me for saying it. It's the Tanner brain off, and just go with it.
I
Just
mean,
go with
how
it.
much?
Nah, that's
In
How
not
this
much
an
is
case,
your
issue.
brain cut off, bro?
That's not an issue.
like, here's the problem. That's what they want you to do. That's what they want you to do. But you can't because, like Chris mentioned, like I've mentioned, like Theo's mentioned, it makes no sense. There's no way Mash can understand that sound travels less through a solid object. What made him do that? Or did he feel the vibration? Which you can technically feel the vibration through a wall, but even then,
Yeah.
how can you calculate? Understand you have to move this fast to get away from what Macaroon was doing, or Margaret as we know her.
How do you know that that's what he's doing?
That's
How do
the
you even understand this? That he's
that's
using sound?
because the guy mentions up top he's using this. I'm like, wait, you're giving a science lesson? Don't care.
But I
Hmm.
mean, he either can hear these people talking in the stands and up top, or he figured it out on his own. Which I'm going for the latter. He figured it out on his own because I mean his hearing can't be that good. He just got his eardrums burst out more
Doesn't
than
matter.
once.
Once you get your eardrums busted, you really can't hear much of anything anymore. So, Chris,
My
get to this back
brain
half.
hurts.
Get to this back half because this back half,
So
where
the only part of this back half,
which I'm kind of mad at.
which is the only little bit of story we get at, is where this innocent Zero comes out and pretty much takes over the show by stopping time. Oh, I stopped time and oh yeah, Mash is my son, so and I need to merge with him. Like, bro, if that's not the most pedophilist speech to come out the gate with, I don't know what is.
Deon, I'm gonna start with you on this section. I have something to say with this because I think this is kind of funny. But go ahead with this back half.
Um,
Hey, Cam.
I, I, uh, what type of anime is this?
It's
That's
a
what I want to know. What
it's a
type of
com
anime are we watching
it's
here?
a
Is
comedy
this
technical.
Yep.
It's a comedy comedy
because did
fantasy.
you really just try to have a serious moment in this anime with the Innocent Zero guy coming out of the sky looking all super cool? Because it did look cool. I'm not gonna lie, it was a very cool looking scene. Comes out the sky riding a dragon with his cronies on his back, like cool. And then you go spouting nonsense about how you need to basically swallow. You need to eat mash.
Uh, yeah, none of you. No other word in an English dictionary matches.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
man. Yo, but shouts out to Dumbledore for being powerful enough not to get frozen in time.
Yeah.
And boo everybody else who still got frozen. Like what?
Mm,
And they knew he was coming.
yeah, yeah.
So
Because that's the
what's the
part
point of that?
that's the part that boggles my mind the most. You knew he was coming because the security of the bureau says the kid comes in and says Innocent Zero's heading this way. Oh, by the way, he's not heading. He's coming personally himself. It's not no monster. It's not the fact he's possessing somebody. He's personally coming himself. What?
That was a pointless thing.
What? But then on top of it all, I'm gonna rant for a second. I'm sorry. Then you basically do the Star Wars Luke, I'm your father. Like what on earth? Why? Like that's why we didn't need that. And then I'll give you one more. It just kind of just makes it even worse. Then you tell me he wants to merge with Matt. What did we just watch? We just watched Demon Slayer. What does Muzan want to do? He wants to get Nezuko's blood. He wants to basically eat Nezuko so he can gain the thing to walk through the sun. The really, really, we're getting the same storyline in two places.
But at least we have a reason.
Yes, we have a reason in Demon Slayer, but you don't have a reason here in any situation. Like, what? And, and then on top of it all, so we have this fight. We have this. You have everything that matched up to this point in this fight. Then you literally tell me that this man, Innocent Zero, is as powerful as Mash is with magic, as the Mash is with his own body. And how do you prove? How are you gonna prove that to me? Because if that's the case, then are you telling me the uncle just adopted Mash or he found him somewhere? The like, come on now.
And I
Like
can get that. I can get. I'm okay with that. I can get that.
I could get
That's
that,
but
but
that's
you
what I'm
have to.
saying. Mash is adopted though. They had a whole episode to that.
This they
Yeah,
have,
but I
but
mean the fact that this is his father, I can get that. Innocent Zero being Mash's true biological father, I can understand that. What I don't understand is how nobody knows. There's not
yeah,
one person, even the person like what he just found them in a tree. Like nobody knows.
even Dumbledore, like you said, Dion comes to save this day, but even he doesn't know.
Yeah,
It like
like you know
okay,
everything else.
except that. Like, and Chris, I'm sorry to rant, and I'm ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to rant, but this is one of the few times where I'm just like, I'm on more on Dion's side of the fence now with this. but I'll give that my rating a second. Chris, thank you for doing that very condensed review because there's not much in this episode outside the fight and a couple question things. But yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, I'll start with you. What do you give Magic and Muscles episode 19 for a rating?
I'm gonna answer it like this. How many parts did I give it?
3.
Ding ding ding.
There we go.
Oh, you're so generous.
There we go. Explain why, because I want to hear this.
Do I have to?
Yes, because you're one of the few people up to this
for our
point.
Viewers,
For the viewers, but up to this point, you've been one of the few people outside of me and Deon that actually kept giving the show good ratings for the most part. 7.
I put it this way: it's been good, and I mean, like, I feel like at this point, season 1 was a fluke.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
honestly, like, season 1 was genuinely good and funny, and it was yes. What
did
the
we
hell
get
is this? Like, is this even? Did we get the same directors? Is this the same anime? Like, I'm sure y'all didn't get this confused with Harry Potter.
I wonder if Magic and Muscle has a book. I think there is a manga based on it, so it's probably based on a manga if there is a manga.
This ain't even Harry Potter no more, bro. Like, I'm not gonna do my boy Harry like that. Like Harry, they had a decent storyline. This.
So Deon, what's your rating? I have to ask.
My rating?
Uh-huh.
Is it possible to give like negative numbers?
I mean, technically yes, but stay above 0, please. I think that'd be the better. And then explain. Yeah, you gotta do that.
Okay, I'll give it a 1.
All right, fair enough.
I'll give it a 1. I'll stay above 0. I'll give it a 1. And the reason is this entire season has been. Can I say crap? I'm sorry. I just
Yeah. You're good. You're good. That's fine. That's not gonna get me in trouble. That's not gonna get me in trouble at all. We're good there.
This entire season has been crap for me personally already. So this episode being one of the worst episodes of this entire season, I can't. And it was supposed to be a strong episode. We got a fight between two of the supposedly strongest people in this up until this point outside of the Divine Visionaries, and that's how it went. It was a freaking game of tag. The entire fight was a game of tag.
Yep. There we go.
What? This was. We got a better fight between somebody who didn't even make it.
That's actually true.
And
oh yeah.
And then on top of that, you introduce a main plot character with Innocent Zero. I mean, we've been hearing about Innocent Zero since the last few episodes of the last season. This is supposed to be one of the biggest introductions in this anime. And it was weird and uncalled for.
Oh.
It was like, yeah, let's see the sky crack open and see him walk in. That was awesome. You can sell this. You can make this work, and you didn't. You made him sound like a cornball. I like your Star Wars analogy, but like, what? Come on, Vader. Let's do better than this. Like that was Severus saying that was Sirius Black saying, "Hey, Harry, I'm your stepfather. I'm your godfather. I knew your parents. What? That's all we get?
Yeah.
Then you end it with Dumbledore standing off against Sirius, or I guess he would be Voldemort. I don't know yet.
Yeah,
You know, we
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
They didn't
You
give
know,
us much to go on, and it was literally pointless. You could have did that in the next episode. You could have left that little bit off. You could have just been like, "I want to devour my son." End episode. Did you give me the pointless scene of them knowing he's coming and they're not ready for it, and everybody still get frozen? Like, bro,
yeah.
I, I,
what was the point
Boo.
of that scene? That
I
scene
have
was
to.
like 3 minutes of
Yeah, nothing.
the
Of
sky
nothing.
is falling, and,
Of
and
nothing.
you just watched it fall.
Ladies and gentlemen, we enjoyed this show for the most part for the first season. This second season's gone off the kind of like it. The first season was weird, but the first season kind of give it its weirdness because it was kind of funny. This second season's been weird, but the weirdness has gone to like a cranked up to 11,
Yep.
and yet still nothing makes sense. And the comedy's gone down to like a 4. To be totally honest with you,
Yeah.
Like it's not funny. It's just stupid.
just yeah.
Yeah,
There we go.
there's no merit to the jokes anymore.
There we go. There we go.
Like, what was the cream puff about? Like, why? You're in the most serious fight of this entire season,
And and
And you
Macri
fall for a free stuff.
even says, "What do you hold? Why are you holding back?" And Macri goes, "Oh wait, you're protecting something. Wait, what? What are you talking about?" And then I'm like, "Oh, where'd that creep puff come from?" See, I was like, "Okay, all right."
and you stop his strongest move with tartar sauce
Yeah.
that you had to steal off of him, because like, where did you
Max
get
and
tartar?
Max and Ab.
So
Yep.
you were fast enough to move from his attack that's moving at the speed of sound, get behind him, pickpocket him with tartar sauce, smear it all over his hands, but you couldn't move from the attack in the first place. Like, bro.
So
Sorry,
also,
I'm like you said.
no, you're fine. You're good. Y'all both good. Y'all both good. Because we're all dumbfounded right now. We're all dumbfounded because this show was supposed to be comedy. Man, the comedy's kind of felt like flat like a pancake, hasn't it?
Yes.
And the funny part is, I said you got to stay above 0 in this case. Actually, I didn't. I forgot to mention you could have gone 0. I'm gonna ultimately go with 0.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
0.
ultimately
That's
I'm
my
I'm
answer.
I'm ultimately gonna go with 0 because this didn't do anything for the plot. But ultimately, you even have the whole scene at the end where they're gonna try to throw a pot in your face, and it's like, wait, what?
Like it doesn't even matter. Half of the season is over now.
Like, huh? Oh, I was like,
This is how you introduce the big bad, like this.
Correct. And
Mash, I am your father.
I'm gonna say this, ladies and gentlemen. We've been doing this podcast for 45 episodes. We're only 5 episodes away from 50. At this point, MASH is gonna stay in the top 10 only because it's kind of funny. And I'll say it again. I'll keep saying this till the cows come home. I'll say it all day long. They want you to turn your brain off. They want you not to focus on the fact that he can't literally touch a wall, hear sound, and move out of the way fast enough of somebody who can go the speed of sound.
If this episode stays in the top 10 next week, I promise you, Anime Corner. It's gonna be a catchphrase of mine. You're gonna hear me say this a lot on this show. You have to see me, bro. Anime, if they stay in the top 10 after this episode, you voters come see me.
I don't think they'll be in the top 10, Deon. I think they'll be in the top 15. I think something's going to beat it out. But ultimately, let's say there was a solo leveling episode this week, which we did have one, but it was a recap episode. If it was a new episode, if it was episode 8. Oh, episode 8 would kill this out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
Episode 8
Well,
would
let
destroy
this
this.
serve. Let this serve for how bad solo leveling could be if they just gave up on it.
Correct. And that's
No,
the sad.
please don't give up
That's the
on any
sad part.
anime. Just keep pushing out craptastic animes like this to get your anxious and get all your quirks and what you want to do and could do, and then stick with the regularly scheduled program of good anime, and follow the plot platform and keep what's working.
And I'm gonna give you this. So I looked up Deon asked the genre of this show, and I have it up on my screen right now. Comedy, fantasy, and you're not gonna like the last one, Deon. Shonen.
That's the comedy part right there.
Think about the fact it's
Yep.
comedy, fantasy, and shonen.
Shonen.
Nowhere in the world all three of those would make sense together. Fantasy and shonen would, but you don't put comedy.
Give me,
Well, I
give me,
mean,
give me
that's
two out of the three, not all
Two
three
of
at the same
three.
time.
I think at this point, if they do make a season 3, and I'm saying this with all due respect to the show because I think the show is good, I am definitely not going to be watching season 3 of this at this point, unless you can salvage the back half of this and make it where you can make this make sense. If you can, I'm cool. If you can't, I'm out. Like it feels like there has to be something to salvage. If there's something to salvage, it's going to go downhill from there. But I
I'll be
also
honest
will.
with you.
I think they can definitely come back and break like a fourth wall like they did in some of the previous episodes and be like,
Correct.
you ever feel like the last few episodes were just shit? and,
Last
See,
season of the country.
and then finally break into some real.
I think they might have to. They're gonna have to do a full wall break somewhere to make this like, oh, forget about what we just did there and focus on this. Like, but I don't because here's the other thing you've mentioned, Chris Deon, the R. Kelly moment at the last episode where they had that whole section was just kind of absolutely nothing, but it's a break between two serious moments, and the two serious moments had no bearing on each other. So it kind of made
I just think they don't know what they're doing with this. It's like they go into the production room and they just throw darts at a wall of ideas, and whatever they land on, they make the episode with.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, it's no comprehension in this storyline, and when it has comprehension, it's it's idiotic.
And see,
Like if I wasn't watching this show with you guys, I would not be watching the show.
I would still keep up with it, but it's one of those things where I'd probably stop after this episode.
I would stop and wait until the dub completely came out because I'm not wasting my time reading this and trying to understand it at the same time. Like my Japanese is not that fluent for me to care enough to watch this.
And here's the thing: even I've never seen two guys, and these two gentlemen here, more Chris than Deon, because Deon had it pretty tempered. He was pretty tempered about the show already. But Chris, who likes season 1, who I also like season 1, but Chris has finally seen what me and Deon have seen for most of this season.
But I've also said that I'm not gonna just go straight to a low rating. I'm gonna be gradual with it.
You're gonna be gradual with it. So this is the first low rating you've had all season, and this was actually kind of.
So here's the thing: it can only get better or worse from here.
Correct. It can only get better and worse from here. It can only
get better from here. I'd be surprised.
We have we're in episode.
If it gets worse, then I just won't be watching it.
I don't think it'll get worse in this particular episode, but I don't see it getting to a point where it's like I want to watch like this show.
So we're on episode 19 of season. Well, it's episode 9, 7. It's episode 7 episodes. 7 episodes of season 2, but episode 19 overall, which means we have 5 episodes left to get to episode 24. What do you do in those 5 episodes to make this all make sense? To get to the point where if we do a season 3, where you can keep it going, or in the series where it is right now. Because the only thing
that make it seem like the audience has been under a spell. That's the only thing that'll make it better.
If you do that, then the last two episodes have meant nothing. The last
You
3
can
episodes.
release the last episode on April 1st and tell everybody that this was a joke from your studios, and you apologize for the long-standing comedic collab.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
then April just come out and say April Fools. Here it is.
fair enough.
We made y'all watch this entire show for no reason. Here's the real season 2 of the.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 45 of the Anime Dojo. We'll be back next week. We get back into soul leveling episode 8 finally. I actually surprised they took a break. They probably shouldn't have. They probably would have been fine. But that's just me. And then we get to episode 20 of Magic and Muscles. I think we're all going to be very interested in how episode 20 of Magic and Muscles go. Because Magic and Muscles can be the one that we don't know. Me and Deon don't know about soul leveling episode 8. We know where they might head. With this, we don't know where they're heading. But keep on this journey.
I think next week will be the first time we all come into watching the episode blind.
Yeah.
If we all come into the episode watching it blind, I'm gonna be shocked because I follow a YouTuber that's been watching this show, and he did this episode. He talked about it, and he's like, "This is pretty good. There's some weird things, but it'll work out." But he's like me, turn your brain off. It's comedy, so I can get past it. I'm like, okay, yeah. Now watching it live myself, this is not one you can get your brain turned off to. It's not that. You can absolutely get your brain off too. But like I said, we'll get to that next week, see how that goes. I'll have this episode up on Spotify as of tonight. It'll process, and then for YouTube, it'll probably be 2 parts for YouTube because we dropped out for some. We had dropped out because the internet went down for all of us, and it came back in. So don't worry about that. But I do thank Chris and DeAndre for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. See you.
Peace.
Deuce.